right? Oh, so sad. My alarm clock went off right around this time, and I needed a few more minutes of sleep. That was it right there. That was these two, the 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. Those were when the train left the station for me. That was exactly when it was at the station, right where I needed to be. Right. This one is the one. Right. This is the one. This is the one right here, and we'll get into that more as we continue. But this is the one. This has the whole break and retest, has the key level that I needed to break above. Right? This is ultra confirmed right here. This was the one. Okay. And so because I don't like to lose, waiting and letting them go first is it's just so much more beneficial. Right? Allowing that market to figure it out and give us the information first is the move. Okay. It's the move. It's look how much more simpler it is to participate in this buy after the pillar shifted. Right? After the pillar shifted. Even over here where I anticipated because of a double bottom in here, right? This double bottom that formed. Even here, right? There was really nothing to do really until maybe right here. This began to give us a little bit of information because our pillar shifted. But that's the advantage of the call, because in order for the call to take place, we would have needed to go above here. And that's why I set an alert, right? We would have needed to go above there, and then we're going to get our pullback, okay? Go above there, and then we're going to get our pullback. And so we just never got it, okay? And I missed this whole move, right? I definitely let go of that because I was only targeting in here, concerned about this break and retest point. But it definitely went deeper, right? So this right here, this letting them go first, it has its advantage. And that's what I'm trying to bring across to you. It has multiple advantages because you're not assuming. Okay? You're not assuming. You're not guessing, right? You're working with incredibly strong confluences when you take that trade. Okay? And so with our Fibonacci, it allows us to actually look and see, do we want to answer the call? Because as we discussed yesterday, right, there is a certain strength in your trend that happens when you retrace to certain levels. 23.6, 38.2, 50%, 61.8. These are all levels where I don't really have to stress out much. If I take the trade, it's going to make a higher high or equal high, right? That's what's going to happen because of where it fell. If it falls to our consolidation level, the consolidation level lets us know, well, right now, just look for targets that are inside of here and here, because it might not break. It might just stay in a range. Now, can it go out further? Yeah, it can. But a lot of times you're going to see Sometimes it makes you start over. Sometimes like there's a lot that comes to it. Okay. And so this is how you're able to screen the call. You're able to let that answering machine turn on first. Hey, John, this is Billy, right? This is Billy over at the bank. There was actually a deposit we wanted to ask you about on your account, right? Oh, hold on, deposit. Let me go ahead and answer this, right? Deposit, I'll answer that call, right? Versus, hey, Jane, this is Mary. We've been trying to reach you about this money you owe us, right? If I ain't answered the call yet, right? That's I am not answering today. Okay. I'm joking, y'all, but you get the point. You're gonna want to show up for your money, right? You're gonna want to show up for your money and listening to how the market actually moves, right? This is how we listen to the call. This is how we discern what's happening. And now we're able to respond. So here, ultimately, the market made a call. And here, hope this is not another time that I just fumbled the ball. I did. I sure did. Come on, Chuck. See, when I miss money or lose money, a lot of times it is a compounded problem. It's not just one thing that I didn't do right. It's usually a compounded scenario. So, for instance, right here, as I look at this, now that I have this on, I was looking only at this, only left options open for this, right? So I was looking for it to be only here, but it's because I didn't do the triangle defense on this. So I didn't realize that I was retracing this whole thing and not just this thing. I didn't know we shifted. I didn't realize it. I see originally I was just retracing this impulse, but after a while, this turned into a retracement of the entire impulse, which now changes where I should be looking for the market to move to. And here's a pro tip, okay? The areas that you really want to focus in, right, is that the market prefers to be normal, okay? The market prefers to be normal. It doesn't really enjoy having an imbalance, right, of buyers or sellers. It doesn't enjoy it. It will have its moments where it will do it, but it enjoys being in balance. And so with that being said, 23/6 retracements are going to happen, but they're going to happen less frequently. What's going to happen more is that the market will try to get to 38.2 or try to get to 50%, which is the normal trend. And so this is like super painful as I'm looking at this and where I was anticipating the market to stop. It's because I was only looking at this and I didn't consider that we were also potentially retracing the entire move now, right? And that's what we did here. We retraced this entire move now coming into the gold zone, right? Into the gold zone. And that's where we were looking. So here, coming back into here, this is the call. I guess the lesson is for y'all, right? It's for me too, but I guess I went through this so I could be a blessing in this lesson today, right? I could have talked about this from the place of pips too, though, but whatever. This is going to emphasize some of the lessons. I hate lessons. I hate going through them, right? But they do make us better, especially if you pay attention to what happened. And in this scenario, I didn't leave. I did that kind of twice today. I didn't leave room for a plan B. I had plan A in my head. I didn't plan for plan B or C, right? I didn't really have it. This was plan A. Plan A was that the market would retrace this. I was only looking for the market to maybe come into this 38.2, 50%. And that was based on the structure, the strong structure I saw here. But the market was done with this bigger move here. And what it needed to do was it needed to retrace the entirety of that move, right? And so now we're dealing with this impulse and the retracement that was happening here, which brings us to this 50%. So you gotta have a standard. You gotta have a preference, okay? This is the only thing that's going to make you sane in this market of endless options. Okay. Imagine going to shop for a car, right? And you go to the dealership and they got the little cars on deck, right? That's how I drew cars as a kid, right? You got the car on deck and they're there. And you got car number 1, car number 2, right? You got all these cars. And the dealer's like, well, what do you want? I just need a car. Well, the dealer's going to bring out car 1, car 2, car 3, right? You're going to have options galore. You care what color it is? Nah, I don't really care. Okay, well, how you feel about this one? This is cool. That one's cool too. Oh man, that one's cool too. Okay, well, you want to test drive that one? Yeah, let's test drive it. Okay, come back. How to ride. It rides good. I'm curious about that other one though. Okay, what are you looking for? Man, I just wanted to move and, and so you're just open, available, indecisive. You're going to be accepting of anything and everything. Sometimes you have all types of angles that you can go. But when you have a standard, I want a black car, right? That's me, right? Probably will never own another color car, right? All black, everything, right? That's going to be me. The last 3 cars were black. Okay. This is me. So I already know we're going to get rid of 2 and 3 because they're not black. All right. 4 and number 1, they're still on the table. Okay. I know that, right? Helps me now limit my options in a land where there are a lot of options, right? This is what's important is to have your preference. Okay? Have your preference. The guy says, well, what about this 2-door over here? Nope, 4-door. I don't like 2 doors. I don't like move my seat, right? Move my seat, person in the back. Nah, I like to have people in the back. So we just gonna get rid of 2 doors. Okay? Got your 4-door. Preference. Right? We're working it in there. Okay, how much you want to pay? I ain't really trying to pay more than X amount of dollars. Okay. Preference. Locking us in. Bringing us closer to our options. Okay. Do you care about the entry? Nah, no entry stuff. What's the most expensive car on the lot? Right? Now, I ain't moving like that, but I could say that at Honda, what's the most expensive car on the lot, right? That's to give me that one, right? I want fully loaded. I want the Navi, even though I got Siri now and I got Waze and Apple Maps. I still want that nav because it's still flex, right? I want that entertainment system. right? Even though I just be on my YouTube and like I want that in there just in case there ever is a day I want that. So now look, my preferences are getting there, right? I want my seats to be cool and heated, right? I want both. I want preferences. I don't want to share air conditioned temperatures with my wife, right? She goes hot, she goes cold too fast, right? My wife is like a DJ when it comes to the AC and the heat. Like boom, pull it up, pull it back, pull it up, pull it back. She over there scratching, right? I don't want to scratch, right? I want to flow, right? So we're gonna move her vents over there, my vents over here, and we're gonna have that dual temperature control, right? Now I'm getting rid of a lot of different options, right? Options. Okay. Now in a second, right? In a second, yeah. Put me on the Lamborghini lot and we still can move, right? But right now, right? I can command whatever I want at the Honda lot, right? All right. So this right here is how we have to be as traders. Okay? Traders. This is what we have to be. We gotta have options. And so part of using Fibonacci is about making sure that you are not receiving anything and everything. And I encourage you in the beginning, focus on a percent that you prefer. And let's not do anything until we get there. I remember when I first started trading with Ferran, and one of the things that would happen when we would trade together, we get ourselves in a little bit of trouble. And it was always around looking for trades around the 23.6. It almost every time kicked our butt and we missed some other money that was on the table, or we were in the wrong direction too early, to the right direction too early, because that 23.6, that's not where it's at. I would never build a preference around a 23.6. Okay. You can have a 38.2, 50%, a 61.8. This is where you might build your preferences. Okay. Right in here. Now, you don't have to only have one, but I'm encouraging you in the beginning, like maybe you just say, I needed to hit the gold zone. Okay, the gold zone. So it needs to retrace to the gold zone. That's what I'm looking for. So if I can get gold zone retracements, I'm in here. Okay, now I'm going to begin to think about my entry. The other thing that Fibonacci does is it allows us to be patient, right? It allows us to be patient. It because unless the market has reached that level, you're not even really ready to answer the call. Okay. Now, because this was the retracement, right? And this is where we were at. This right here, if I was fully locked in, would have informed me to do the next thing. But I was doing it over here, but I just didn't do it over here. The next thing is another tool that we call the trend-based fib extension. And the trend-based fib extension, this is all about how we're going to respond and where we believe the market is going to go based on the call. And so based on this call, my target at minimum would have been right here. Okay. This right here brings us into, right? This brings us into, it gives us information. It informs us on what we should be looking for next. Okay. This would be the first place I would have looked. This would have been the second place. And this would have been my third place. Okay. And this would have been my fourth place. These are all areas that I would be looking for based upon the retracement value and what the response should be next. Okay. Now, what is this? What are these levels? Well, first off, the market likes to do what we call measured moves. Okay. The market likes to do measured moves. The market likes to what is done before, it enjoys doing again. So if we look at here, the distance, right, pip count from here to here, the market, the next time it goes, it likes to do at least the same thing. And that brings us to here. This is what it enjoys. It enjoys going at least a similar distance. And that's what this is. This is the one. So it's going to go 100% of the same distance that it went the first time. That's how that works. Okay. Now, how do I use this tool? Let me make sure that I say that very clearly right now. When I say use, how do I even place it? Well, it's used the same way that retracement is used. You're going to go from left to right. I might not have said that as clearly yesterday. You're always going to draw from left to right, right? You're going to go from swing low to swing high, or swing high to swing low, but you're always going left to right. Okay. That's how you know if you click right to left, you're moving the wrong way. You're going to go left to right. It doesn't matter if you're going up or down, you're going to go left to right. So if we look here, on this fib retracement, left to right, right? Not the other way around where you go right to left. That's wrong. Okay. That's going to make you upside down. Okay. You're going to go left to right. Okay. Left to right. And again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you are doing an impulse or a correct. So like, let's say I wanted to fib this. I wouldn't go right to left. That's right to left. That's wrong. I would go left to right. Okay. So always left to right. So this is the same thing with this tool. It's going to be from left to right, but you're going to finish one more click wherever the impulse or the call finished, right? So wherever that pullback finished, that retracement, that's going to be your third click. So click 1, 2, 3. Click 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the same original clicks you did on the retracement, you're now going to also click one more time at the end of the same clicks you did on the impulse. You're going to do one last click on the retracement. Okay. 1, 2, 3, all moving from left to right. Now, what this is going to inform us is what is next. And like I said, one of the first principles I want you guys to understand is that the market loves to do similar things and measured moves. Okay. It loves to do that. So the distance that it went here, it's going to go at least the distance here. That's typically what's going to happen. Man, boy, oh boy. Okay. And that's what's happened so far. Now, why here? Why did I say this is my first target? This is what I call my safe TP, safe take profit. The reason it's my safe take profit has more so to do with some other things I understand about Fibonacci that lead us into certain patterns that are strong reversal patterns called harmonics. Okay. And because of that, I know that many of those patterns will finish in areas like this and produce very strong like turnaround points. Like you'll be like, oh shoot, I thought we were going up here. It's like, no, we completed a pattern. Okay. Now, this typically happens at at areas where the market has been trending for a while. Okay. And so when we look at this, the market definitely has been trending for a while here. And so this is where you're going to want to be more conservative, because a lot of times the market can it can stop on you, right? Especially when it's been moving for a while. Okay. So the safe TP is always going to be initially the first target. I don't have to get out at the safe TP, but it's going to be my initial target. Okay. Because I know that this is a problem area. Like you can see that it really struggled around this area. Now I didn't struggle enough to change directions, which is why this was where my next trade would have been. Right. But this right here, man, this is so lovely. It's not even fair. This right here is you got to know where this is. Now, what else do I do at the safe TP? The safe TP is not only the place that I go to if I want to just smile and not think about it and like, okay, don't stress about it, right? So imagine I caught the trade coming up out of here and I took it here, right? This is very simple. Don't gotta worry, don't gotta stress. Now, what's another reason why we're not gonna worry or stress? Because I have trade management rules. And those trade management rules that we'll get into more later, they say that after we reach the safe TP, we will not lose our trade. So imagine I thought the target was here, but it went to this safe TP. And what I did is I said, okay, well, I'm still trying to get up here. Well, my stop loss is down here. The safe TP is my trigger to say, stop loss, you have to go to break even at minimum. You cannot lose at this point. You can't risk trying to get up here, but going down here and losing this trade. You just can't do that, right? Break even is the rule, okay? Break even is the rule. This is so clean, y'all. These bullish candles are like so strong. Break even is the rule. Okay, so at our safe TP, we're gonna take that stop loss and say, all right, no, you can no longer be below my entry. Okay, you gotta move. Now, the advantage to this is this keeps us objective. We're not subjective about this. If we reach the safe TP, we're going to reduce our risk. Okay, no losing. Don't have to take profit if you don't want. You can stay in it, right? You can look to get to your other targets, but that's going to be it. The next target we're looking for is this take profit 1 here. This boy is flying in my face. It's all gas and no brakes. Take profit 2 is going to be here, 1272. Now, what is it about take profit 2? Well, take profit 2 knows that when we're looking at waves, if you remember, we talked about this impulse and this correction. Now, I told you markets, when they're trending, when they're in an impulse, right? Impulse waves, when they're trending, or there's another term called motive waves. Motive waves are 5-wave movements, okay? And an impulse is a type of motive wave, right? Just to be clear, right? So what's happening here is we're in an impulse, and in an impulse style wave, right? Well, if I remind you, one of the rules to this, the simple rule that I gave you, is that this movement right here from 2 to 3, this absolutely cannot ever be the shortest movement. Out of 1, 2, and 3, it cannot be the shortest distance. It just cannot be. So typically what's going to happen is whatever happened here, the market likes to at least do that. And that's why we like to go to here at least. But because it's not, it can't be the shortest, okay? And it is typically going to be the longest. What typically happens is we're going to go past this one. So if you imagine, well, let's not even imagine, let's put this on here. We go from here to here, right? That's that take profit 1 at the 1. But if it's going to be longer, which it typically is, well, that's going to bring us into take profit 2 or into take profit 3, right? That's the logic behind this, is that we should at least be equal. But a lot of times we're longer, which brings in these options, okay? Which brings us to these other options. So the idea is whatever we did here, we're going to at least do it here, or we're going to go longer. Now, it can't ever be the shortest, and it's typically the longest, okay? That's going to be the scenario. Your 3 wave is where you want to be. And that's why this is the optimal place for entry, catching it in here, coming up out of here. Because even if being based off of that equal movement, measure movement, EP2 being based off of, oh, yep, oftentimes we like to go further. And TP3, the 1618, becomes the other fib destination. Okay. This is how we respond. The retracement shows us if we want to respond. Right? If. It's how we screen the call. But once we say, oh, I'm about to answer this, this shows us how we're going to answer. Where are we trying to take the market to? Okay, where are we trying to take the market to? All right, what are we going to do here? What's this? Okay. We're going to grab this buddy and this buddy. Put you guys in a group. Lock you up. Then we're going to grab all this. put you in a group, lock you guys up, and I'm gonna throw all you guys in that same group. All right, here we go. Group number 4. Okay, here's your picture. Okay, this is it. Let me make this a little bit brighter. There we go. Here we go. So you can save this, right, for your notes. Okay, so you can see where those targets are. Now, let me explain the Safe TP because I still need to explain that. Okay, I still need to explain that. Now, you know, the challenge with this is I know I could make money on this, but I don't have the time. Like, 'cause I'm in this lecture, I don't have the time to find my entry. Well, my entry is in here. At this point, I can't chase it. So if I'm gonna even mess with this, I don't want any crumbs. I would want to get some money still. So in order to do this, I would have needed to operate down here and leverage something that we'll talk about later, which is the qualified pullback, right? So that would bring me to having entry candle, the following places I could have entered if I had the time here, or here, or here. These would be areas that I would be looking to get in based on what we'll talk about later, right? And they all would have had different ways that I would have handled, you know, my stop losses and stuff like that. But most favorable one was probably right at the beginning of class. This buddy right here. This was the best one. This one was all mine. That could have made up for things right there, right? Almost out of 1 to 5. If we can hit that target, right? 1 to 7. I can't wait to get into some of these entry techniques, right? And some of the ways, because what's going to happen is as you're learning the system, right? And you're like, dang, well, now what do I do? How do I take advantage of it, right? And we're going to talk about that, but it's pretty powerful. So even though I missed this train, there were several entries, right, into this train that I could have approached systematically. So even though my emotions very heightened, I can fall back on my system that would allow me to take advantage of this. But because I'm lecturing and can't focus, this requires attention to detail, right? Like being a surgeon, right? You can't be on the phone talking to your baby mama, right? Not gonna work, right? Not while you're inside of that person that needs you to save their life, right? You got to pay attention. And so this level of precision, though, I'm excited for you guys to be able to operate in that later, and have that option. Now, this safe TP, right? This safe TP is not always a 786. Okay, let me explain this, because this one is the most nuanced one. Okay, now let's come back to here again, the retracement. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go here to here. Now, what did this thing do? It retraced to 50%. Okay. However, if we look at it, the market went about halfway into the 50%. Now, because it retraced into that 50% and we went further, for me, I'm going to treat this as if it went to the 61.8, because it went at least about halfway into the zone. Now, I know it didn't reach the 61.8. It only actually hit the 50%, but it didn't stop at 50%. It went further, about halfway into the zone. And so because of that, I'm going to say it reached the 61.8. So how does the safe TP work? Well, the safe TP says whatever area we reached, whatever the fib level was that we reached, the 61.8, we're going to go to at least the next fib level, the 786. Okay. Now, how does that make sense, Charles? Let me explain. These are numbers that you want to remember. Okay. 61.8, 50%. You want to remember this because this is going to inform you when you use your extension tool. So if we look here, we're going to say we went beyond the 50%. Okay. Because we almost went halfway through the zone into the 61.8. So for me, this means that the 786 is my target, but it's my target on the extension. So check this out. On the extension, we're going to go from high to low, back down to back down to the end of the retracement, low to high, back down to the end of the retracement. And so if we look in here, I want to draw your attention to here. What this is telling us is the same thing I just shared with you, that the market here retraced to the 50%. So the cool thing about the extension tool, sometimes I don't even use the other tool. I'll use my extension tool just to save a step, because I can see retracement values by looking at the end of my impulse and where it lines up with the extension. So that same information of having reached the 50% and almost getting halfway to the 61.8 is the same thing we just saw on the retracement tool. I can get the same retracement values by utilizing this tool and just going from the low to the high, back to the low, and observing where it falls over here. Okay, let me show you. Let's say it was a deeper retracement. Let's use our imagination. And let's say it ended up being a deeper retracement, right? Let's do this. Let's say instead of stopping here, right? Let's say it stopped right here at the 786. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this. We're going to take this trend-based fib extension. Boom. Boom. And I'm going to pull it down to where we just said it came down to here. Now, if I look at the top of my impulse over here, I can see that that's the 786. That's the 786. It's the same thing that I just said. So you can see your fib retracement levels just by using your extension tool. You could save yourself a step if you like, right? If you like, you could save yourself a step and you'll be able to see the same information using the extension tool. Okay. So that's a pretty cool thing about the extension tool. So whatever we retrace to, in this case, it was a 786 and we really stayed really right around that 786. My safe TP would be the next fib level, the 886. So I would expect the market to come from here all the way up to here. That would be my safe TP. Okay. Because it's the next fib level that we need to reach. Okay. That's the secret behind the safe TP. It's all about where it retraced. Let's pretend it had stopped. Let's say it stopped here. Okay, let's say it stopped here. Well, we would go from the low back to that high, back to here. And in this case, we could see that it basically only reached the 50%. But where would the safe TP be? Right here, 618. So we would expect it to go from here up to here. Okay, so the safe TP is dependent upon whatever the retracement value was that you retraced to and going to the next one. But if you remember what I said, if we go through it, like if we had come through this like this, then I would say, well, even though we didn't hit the 61.8, right, we were on our way to it. So my safe TP is going to be the 786. Okay, that's how that works. Let me make sure I cement this by giving one last example. Okay, I want to, so far we only looked at the buy side. Let's look at the sell side. So a little bit harder in a downtrend. Okay, here we go. In an uptrend environment. So we're going to get our fib retracement. We're going to go from left to right. Okay, when I go from left to right, this lets me know that we basically stopped around the 38.2. And no, we didn't go about halfway to the zone. So I'm going to say it's 38.2. Okay, we didn't price it and move up about halfway. So 38.2 is going to be our retracement value, which lets me know that when I use my extension tool, my safe TP is the 50%. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to go from here to here to here. And so what's going to be my safe TP? The 50%. I would be trying to make sure if I was in a trade that I no longer lose here. If I want to get out, I can. But this is my safe TP. It's where I'm going to choose to begin to look to take profit or protect my risk. So let's say I had caught my trade, you know, up in here, maybe used our T2 concept that you're going to learn. Well, this would be where you would be looking to make that exit, or at the least, we're going to take that stop loss, right? And where that entry is, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move that stop loss into profit. No longer going to lose. Okay. Once we hit the safe TP, we can't lose. You don't got to get out, but you cannot lose, right? Cannot lose. That is the objective part of how we manage our trades in ORS. Okay. Now I have an additional thing that I'm a little bit more flexible on, but it's still one of my a part of my rules. So the timing of it is not, I'm not as perfect on this. And this is where I usually get myself in trouble. My other rule is 1-to-1. If I've gotten a 1-to-1, that is a winning trade. If I put my money back and got my money back, that's a winning trade. Now I want to get more than my money back, but that for me is a winning trade. So at this point as well, I also have an objective rule that says at a 1-to-1, you can't lose. Okay. So that stop loss would come in there anyways. So if we hit our 1-to-1 or we get to the safe TP and or, right, we can't lose the trade. Okay. Type that in the chat. Make sure you got those two rules. If I achieve a 1-to-1 or reach my safe TP, I cannot lose the trade. Okay. That right there is the rule. So where would TP1 be? It's still here, right? Because the market, we know the market likes to make measured moves. Now, did it make it? No, didn't reach it, right? Because it does depend on the context. It does depend on where you're trying to do this at. Like this right here was a correction. So in a correction, the market was moving up, was making higher highs and higher lows. This is a counter trend. So counter trends don't always go to the one, right? A lot of times they don't follow that same rule. Okay. Which is why in a counter trend, you want to be even more careful to go for the safe TP, or at least not ignore the safe TP, right? That's where you're going to get in the biggest trouble in a counter trend, trying to trade beyond the safe TP on a set it and forget it. You're like, oh, I think it's going to, no. You want to set and forget it, safe TP, right? Safe TP is going to let you really, really just not worry about much. Okay. Go ahead and back test it. You'll see. It's going to hit that thing the majority, overwhelmingly the majority of the time. Okay. That safe TP, that's it. Okay. That's it. You want to make sure. So then our TP1 was here, TP2 is here, and TP3 is here. Okay. Didn't reach the TP1. We got close, but we didn't get there. Okay. And that happens. Okay. But the cool thing now that you understand how this works, you can have a lot of fun with this. Look, market made an impulse, market made a correction. Where are we trying to go? Where's our safe TP? You can just do this all day on charts. Where's our safe TP? Well, we didn't really go past the 50%. That's kind of where we stopped. So 618, safe TP. Where's our take profit? Take profit 1, up here. Take profit 2, up here. Take profit 3, up here, right? That's going to be all of our take profits. And so when we come down here, you can see we retrace, boom, where are we going? TP1, a safe TP here, TP1 right here, touchdown, right? Market pulled back, TP2 and TP3, right? So we don't always get to TP2 and TP3 on the first move. A lot of times you'll have a retracement, right? And what's crazy about this is you can keep running the play, right? Because every time the market gives you an impulse and a correction like this, it's another opportunity to fib, right? So now we got this. So where did we reach? The 61.8. We didn't touch it, but we almost got there. It's enough. We went more than halfway through the zone. That right there. So where's my safe TP? 786. Where's my take profit 1? Right up here. Where's my take profit 2? Right up here. Where's my take profit 3? Right up here. It's a rinse and repeat game that if you pay attention to the impulse and the correction, which completes the call, will know how to respond, right? You'll know where you're going, right? Look at that TP3 smash, right? And pulled on back. Now, did it go further? Yeah. But it just did another impulse and correction, right? Gave us one more right here. Boom. Boom. Now, where do you start these? We're going to talk about that more, right? This one hit the 50%. Safe TP's up here. TP1's up there. TP2's up there. TP3 is up here. All right, and that's probably why we're struggling right there. And that's that original confluence point. And then this is the entire one again that we talked about. So it finally retraced that entire piece here. And then this, we were going to get to, man, so many confluences here. We're going to get to up here at minimum. And now here's the next level. And you're going to have, we could talk about confluences later where you got multiple different impulses and stuff and you can put them all together. But this 51 level, I think is, we're approaching. I think that's around our take profit 2 as well. Okay. So, but yeah, we were at least going to make it to here, which that's why that's painful. Cause I knew we were going up, but I didn't do this additional confluence here. And man, you can really get some data from your fibs, right? Especially if you have like an approach that kind of just starts to mark off where some of these safe TPs are at, right? And that's what I see here from this larger impulse here and this correction, we were gonna get to here. So the fact that yesterday we hadn't got there, and I told you guys if it doesn't invalidate here, we're gonna go up. That right there, I could have operated totally differently yesterday, and yeah, it's okay. It's okay. All right. Good lesson today. I hope you guys got some value. Hope you guys are seeing the light in the tunnel. Okay. I want you guys to practice. Don't just take this and just go on the chart. You saw what I just did. Look at impulses, look at corrections, right? How do you know when to draw when you're in a correction? Well, if you put a trend line on, right, and you start to break and start moving opposite that trend line, you're in a retracement. Okay. Whenever you're in a trend and you start to kind of move opposite, you're in a retracement, right? An example right here, notice we put this trend line on here. This is where I kind of messed up on the other one, right? We're no longer like really respecting that trend line. We're kind of going the other way on the opposite side. You're in a retracement. So you can go from here to here to here, right? Over here, same deal. Market started to move up. And this trend line, we really started to do opposite of this trend line, right? That's where I messed up. I didn't notice that. And because we started to do opposite of this trend line, I needed to be fibbing this. Okay. And now this is what we were looking at. Okay. So I hope you guys are getting some value from this. Go and practice. And just try to mark off your safe TP. Like just look and see like, okay, where's an impulse? Okay, where's a correction? Okay, let me fib this and see what happened next. Where's an impulse? Where's a correction? Let me fib this and see what happened next, right? And you're just going to see, you'll train your eyes to see. And most importantly, you will train your eyes to trust. Okay. Seeing in this case really is believing. Okay. You got to go and train your eyes. Right. Well, I've had fun with you guys this week. We're going to finish